I hate to sound repetitious because we've been talking about this all week, but there are so many things I still want to pursue because he's so much fun to talk to. Are you happier now since you went away and you found yourself? Because Bobby took a sabbatical of almost a year. We've been talking about it.
Yeah, well, it's a question of happier, right? Some people say, "Are you happy now?" And I don't think.
Happier.
Yeah, happier. I definitely am. No question about that. I feel good. I feel now that whatever I'm doing, I know why I want to do it. I know how to go about doing it, so it makes me feel good. And it's easier to edit out those things which I had any doubt about doing in the first place. Do you know what I mean? That's why. Like, this is the most television I've done in a long, long time. And it's such a relaxed atmosphere, so I feel good. So when they said, "Hey, would you like to co-host for a week?" I said, "Darn right I would, yeah." So I feel good. Never.
Do you feel that you lost any of your edge as a performer by being out of it that long?
No, but I do think, well, yes, to the extent that one comes back from that long a time away, there is a rustiness which you have to get over. It took me about 5 or 6 days. When I played the Landmark, it just closed a couple of weeks ago. In Las Vegas. And it took me about 5 or 6 days to really get myself where I was feeling good. So there is an edge lost. But I think once I get back into the thing, I don't feel at least there's an edge gone, and I hope nobody else does.
That song you sang a moment ago, you wrote that song, didn't you?
Yes. City Life, it's called. It's just kind of a fun bit of reflection on the way things were when I was a kid. Little things like...
Would you mind reciting some of the lyric for me?
I didn't know you wanted to do that. I was just going to do it now.
I couldn't...
no, it's hard to distinguish...
With the band, I couldn't pick up on the...
Yeah, well, the strings are awfully loud. Your string sections.
No, I'm serious.
I know. Some of the lyrics are, where I'm born, we ain't got no river, running through no backyard. Get your tan on the roof, and that's the truth. Cement sure gets hard. And then there's another verse that goes, 38 degrees, the middle of November. The heat don't come on till it snows. You got a new mayor, he's a doer, not a sayer. But what he's doing, nobody knows. And it's just involved like that. Nothing personal.
Is that the way your life was? Didn't you get heat until the first snow?
Are you kidding?
Did you live in a tenement?
Oh, why you lived at... You know what a railroad flat is? Anybody here know what a railroad flat is?
Before you go too far, I'm from the west side of Chicago, and I am a Depression baby.
I'm sorry about that, Michael.
Really? Well, we were so poor, the woman next door had me. Now, that's poor.
That's even poorer than being made in Japan.
My family couldn't afford it. No, I'm kidding a little bit, but we were so poor, we didn't know, we would like to have been poor.
Well, you know what it is?
We were really poor.
Yeah, but you know what I think? I think poor is, it's a question of poor. When you're poor, I mean, that's it. There's like, somebody's not poorer than somebody, you're just poor. And I was poor too. So
how poor were you?
I was as poor as you, and you're as poor as me, and we got to get rid of poverty.
If you lived in a tenement, you were poor.
Well, I tell you, I was told now, not that it matters much because when you're the age I'm referring to, it doesn't, you don't know about it. But I was told that I slept in a cardboard box and also slept in the bottom drawer of a dresser because there wasn't a crib or a carriage. So I mean, you don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to tell you that. But when they tell it to you, that's when you get the impression of how poor you were. Your mother says to your friends or your relatives, and they say, "You were poor. You slept in the bottom drawer of a dresser." I could sleep there now if it was a big enough dresser. As a matter of fact, anyhow. So it's not. I mean, I don't want to dwell on that because that's nonsense. But the fact remains that the reason for writing the song was I had thought about these things.
We can do all those awful poor lines,
Oh yeah. Well, we're not going to do that. No. Good.
We were so poor they knocked down a building next to us to build a tenement. No.
Or we were so poor that...
No. I already used the best joke.
Oh, okay.
Oh, but
you'll have to tell me when.
Were you rich, Joe?
Well, then you can hang around us. How rich were you? Come on, Joe.
Were you? That's Joe Harnell talking about.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were rich.
He doesn't play like he's rich. He plays like he really was poor.
That's a compliment.
You're darn right it is. He knows I meant that.
Bobby, this I've been wanting to say to you all week, and we're good enough friends that I know I can say it.
Oh, it's going to be one of those, huh?
No. But
one of those setup lines. We're good enough friends that you can take this.
Well,
and it's the end of a beautiful friendship, folks. You're watching it right here.
I want to talk about your old image because before I knew Bobby Darin, from just having seen you on television shows, I thought, boy, what a cocky guy.
That's what you thought, huh?
Yeah. Hey, wait a minute. No, wait.
Come on, I'll knock down your nose. What is that?
Now what I want to know is, I'm serious, was that you? Or was that an image that you created?
In all fairness, it couldn't have been anybody else. It had to be me, okay? It had to be me.
No. Seriously,
All
is
right.
that something that you...
That was something I really did to cover up a slew of insecurities that I personally had.
That's what
okay?
I'm getting at. Okay.
For example, I was very, I like to think myself, very popular while I was in high school. I went to the Bronx High School of Science in New York City, and I was an 81 index student.
What does that mean?
81 average.
I see.
That was my
That's
average.
good. That's
well,
not excellent, but it's good.
Wait a second. The rest of the school was 99.6.
That's bad. Doesn't sound like that bad. That's good. That's bad.
The 81 index at the Bronx High School of Science, supposedly, in most other schools in the city, or in the country for that matter, was the equivalent. The 81 would be the equivalent of a 95.
I see.
The demands and the pressures were quite severe.
I see.
Okay, to say the least. Now, I thought I was popular because I was kind of a clown, you know, and I wore, get this now, and that with that kind of academic. In the final year of high school, in this particular high school, you had your elective courses such as calculus, advanced trigonometry.
Oh, well,
I mean, it's that kind of background. All right.
Prep school would be today.
Right? Murder. And plus super intellectual challenge and contest going on all the time. I walk into the school from the southeast Bronx with a 14 peg in my pants, saddle stitching, and pistol pockets. Yeah. On the tushy, remember? That's where I was. They took a look at me, and they immediately, you talk about impressions of people, you know, some people get very uptight and very nervous about long-haired people or people who wear denims and quote-unquote mod or freaky clothes. In those days, when I walked into that high school with those things on, they just like to froze me out right on the spot.
How did you get there in the first place?
I took a subway to 125th Street.
No, I mean, you must have taken
I took an entrance
something.
examination, and I was a borderline case, which I've always been. Do you understand me, right? I took the examination. I won. I was granted entrance to the school scholarship, if you will. And well, no, not really scholarship. I was given a poverty scholarship at the end of my tenure at the Bronx High School of Science. I'm happy to say. And I got to pay it back one of these days. Would you remind me, please, to pay it back? And what I'm saying is that there were severe amounts and a severe degree of pressure exerted upon me. All right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that because I played drums, which I taught myself to do while I was in high school, that I was extremely, well, put it this way, I thought I was very popular just to being, because I was a clown, I wore these strange clothes and what have you. And it turned out that because I was the drummer, there was a degree of popularity that I had that was there because I played at the dance instead of dancing at the dance. You know what I'm saying? Please, anybody?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, all right, good. So, once in a while I get the feeling it's off.
No, this is a very polite audience. They
are
really
lovely.
nod until you say, and then they answer you.
Okay. So I did that,
Oh,
and then
you
one
need to
day,
start something.
One day, somebody, a young lady and I got into a conversation about just what I was all about at the age of, ripe old age of 16. I graduated Bronx High School at 16, so I entered college at 16.
You were precocious, to say the least.
And I had a club, too. I used to hit people and things. No, I never did that. But anyhow, what I mean to say is that the lady said, you know, you think you're a big deal and, you know, popular stuff and, you know, tough city and everything. I said, you ain't. And I said, what do you mean I ain't? Everybody likes me.
Did you say?
Yeah, I said, everybody likes me. I'm a very popular guy. She said, really? How about, and she went through a list of people who had things to say. I had never been exposed, really. It might sound very naive for a kid 16 to say this, or to think it at the time, but I had never been exposed to someone who would be that candid with me. You see?
You needed that.
Well, I mean, you know, so-and-so doesn't like me, and this one I thought was a good friend. Wow, okay, next thing you know, I started to scrape to find out why, and really dig and go crazy. And all I could come up with was, I'm not doing anything wrong, because that's always the case, right? It can never be me, it's always somebody else. I had developed this fantastic veneer, which almost became solid steel, if you will, that it was just a question of, don't come near it, I'll knock you right on you. That was what it was. And somebody else, it's like going bump, ba-da-da-da. Right? See that? Can you say that on the air? Bum, bum.
No. I'm sorry.
Point is that I developed this tremendous defense mechanism, and it carried on through my work, carried on through the performance. Now, to some degree, to a great degree, in fact, I imagine, people, for some strange set of reasons, came to see that. They wanted to see this guy who was like fresh out of the Bronx streets do this number. Hey, you. That's it. It's a wrap. you know, hey, take a walk. I used to turn to musicians. I mean, I had a reputation. It was incredible. I stopped a conductor one time in the middle of a song and say, what is this? And some dumb, corny line in the middle of a stage performance. Like, you know, try that kind of conducting on a bus, I mean, on a train. It's terrible things. Now, all I can say is that I'm not copying for them. I'm merely saying that I went through that thing, thinking that that was of the essence. And there were not that many people around who could convince me otherwise. So that they were kind of riding along with it. It felt good to them, too, because the bread was coming in. Nobody was paying me less for how much of a I was becoming. Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Until one day, as I say, a couple of 3, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, it started to really take hold. The whole thing was just out of proportion. And as I said the other day, a couple of years ago, I just said, hey, I got to find out what this whole thing's about. And now people don't like me, but it's all right, because there are things about everybody that are unlikable, so that's fine.
Well, do you ever do your old, the first hit I remember of Bobby Darin's was a thing you wrote called Splish Splash. It was taking a bath.
Oh, I do that all the time as a kind of a fun closer. Well, I shouldn't say all the time, but I'd say 80% of it.
Do you ever do Mac the Knife anymore?
Yes, I do.
Will you do it for us now?
Now? Yes, I love it. Bobby Darin.